Programme. Hundreds of you got in touch after our exclusive story yesterday revealing that at least 20 ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are suing the organisation over historic sexual abuse by senior figures in the religion. Two women told us they were abused as children, one from the age of 8, and a former elder who served in the organisation for 55 years revealed for the first time that he too was sexually abused as a boy. Sally was one of the many people who got in touch with us. It's not her real name. She's a non-practising Jehovah's Witness, and she says she was sexually abused as a child. And when she reported it to the so-called elders, she was ignored and threatened with being ostracised from the community.
Well, my husband heard about it in the morning and texted me because he knew this was such an important issue for us. And so I quickly put the television on, and then when I noticed at the bottom you could email in, I felt I really wanted to do that, so I did.
And we read your email out.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
It felt incredible. I felt like my voice was being heard.
Can I ask you to tell our audience what you say happened to you when you were growing up?
Well, the abuse went on for a long time, and the person who abused me, there was a lot of oral sex, and him touching me being made to touch him, and me watching him do things with other people.
And I know this began when you were a young girl. How long did it go on for?
Until my late teens.
What kind of effect did this have on your life as you were growing up?
A huge effect. Like, I now have PTSD, and I also have chronic fatigue syndrome. It's been very hard to function normally. I've had a lot of mental and physical health problems.
Now, 7 years ago, as an adult, you decided to come forward and tell the elders of the Jehovah's Witness Church in Australia, where you lived at the time, about what had happened. What did they say to you when you reported this to them?
The first thing that I was told by the elder was to see the best in this person and to try and forgive them.
And how did you respond to that?
I felt outraged. I found it hard to speak. I was so angry and disappointed because I really had turned to them for help.
What did you expect them to do?
I expected them to take it seriously and to try and help me sort it out.
By doing what?
Well, in the Jehovah's Witness organisation, they arrange judicial committees when sins or crimes have happened, and I really fought for that to happen with my abuser, but it never happened.
And do you know if that was because of the so-called two-witness rule?
Yes.
I.e. where the person who says they're being abused and a separate person has to witness the abuse from the abuser?
Yes.
And it was just impossible in your case for you to meet those bizarre requirements?
They always want the two-witness rule, and they also want you before. The first thing they want is for you to go and confront your abuser, and that wasn't something at the time I could handle doing.
Why do they want you to go and confront your abuser?
It's based on a scripture that when you have a problem with someone, you go and you talk to them about it first before the elders get involved.
How do you feel about that?
It's disgraceful. I was seeing a psychologist at the time and asked her opinion, and she said, "You're not ready to do that. That could be too traumatising for you."
You later moved back to the UK. Did you tell the elders in the church here about what had happened to you?
Yes.
And how did they react?
They were very sad that it hadn't been sorted out, and they actually helped us to write a letter, which was then sent to London headquarters. It was kind of sent to the headquarters. But we never heard back anything from that.
So you were hopeful initially that this letter being sent to the HQ of the church would lead to some kind of action against the person you say abused you?
Yes, we wanted to keep trying until we felt it seemed pointless trying anymore. No one was going to do anything.
Did you consider going to the police?
Once I'd been through a few years of therapy, I did go and make a report to the police.
And how have they investigated?
At the moment there's not enough evidence, and also I didn't feel mentally strong enough to take it further, so I just told them my story, which was recorded.
You did post on social media about the way the Jehovah's Witnesses had handled your reports of child sexual abuse. How did the elders, the so-called elders, react to that post?
Within days they contacted me and my husband, and they said that if we didn't take the post down on social media, they would arrange a judicial committee for me.
To investigate you?
Yes, and if you're not repentant of what you've done, you are disfellowshipped, which means your whole Jehovah's Witness community has to shun you.
Right. You're effectively exiled or chucked out.
Yes.
And that judicial committee, which they threatened you with, was what you'd asked them for in order to investigate the person you say abused you.
Yes.
So how did you feel about the way you were being treated?
It was unbelievable. I felt it felt like abuse. I felt like I had no voice in the community I'd grown up in the organisation I was brought up to love. I felt like I was being silenced again, and possibly losing a lot of people that I loved and relied on for support.
And so, what is the situation now? Have you been ostracised? Have you been silenced? What do you want to happen now?
Well, at the time I did take the post down because I have a family and children, and I was frightened of how it would affect us. So I heartbreakingly took the post down. However, now, largely because of that, none of our family go to the Jehovah's Witness meetings anymore and are trying to build a new life outside of it.
What do you think your church should do if someone comes to them with allegations of sexual abuse?
They should be encouraged to go straight to the police.
And it should not be, no attempt should be made to investigate internally or to keep it within house?
Definitely. This is something, it's a crime. It's not just a sin, and it needs to be dealt with seriously and properly.
Well, thank you very much, Sally, for not only contacting us yesterday, but coming onto the programme today, and I hope you feel that you've been given a voice to a certain extent. Thank you. And if you need advice or support, you can contact our action line. It's bbc.co.uk/action line, or call 0800 077 077, where you can hear recorded information, and those lines are open 24 hours a day. We asked for a representative from the Jehovah's Witnesses to come onto our programme, of course. They declined, but said in a statement the only way that a child abuser can gain access to children in a religious organisation like ours, which does not have any programmes that separate children from their parents, is through parents themselves, adding that for decades the organisation had educated parents about the dangers of child abuse and how they can protect their children. They went on to say, when elders learn of an allegation, they comply with child abuse reporting laws, even if there is only one witness, and the parents and victims are informed they have the right to report the matter to the authorities. If a congregant has been guilty of child sexual abuse, the statement said, our elders inform parents with minors so that they can take measures to protect their children. Let's talk now to Thomas Beale, a solicitor representing abuse victims who are pursuing the Jehovah's Witnesses in a civil action. Why?
That's correct. First of all, and first and foremost, what I would say is any survivors of child sexual abuse should report the matter to the police before any civil action is pursued. And indeed, if the organisation themselves are aware of that, they should report the matters to the police. So a criminal investigation can be carried out and the perpetrators can be brought to justice. And once that's been resolved, they bring a civil action because they want some degree of closure. And in many cases, they've approached the organisation itself, but they've denied what's happened or just refused to engage, which leaves them the last resort of bringing a civil case against the organisation for the injuries, psychiatric injuries that the abuse has caused. Many of our clients are extremely vulnerable and have periods out of employment or are unable to work at all, and also require a lot of treatment to help them recover from the impact of the abuse. And their only recourse to do that is to hold the organisation responsible.
And when people hear an organisation is being sued, many of us imagine millions of pounds. What kind of sums are we talking about? Because it's certainly not that, is it? That's
correct, Victoria. Sadly, the level of compensation in England and Wales isn't as high as we would like it. And
it's between what and what?
It can range between 5,000 to 100,000, possibly for the injuries themselves, and then there's additional damages for any financial losses suffered, such as loss of earnings, and also treatment costs, which can increase the awards that are made.
Again, we have more people contacting us today. This emailer says, just wanted to thank you again for giving this airtime today. Like, really thank you. I'm an ex-JW abuse survivor. I was abused by a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses from the age of 4. I'm in my 40s now, and I only went to the police recently. During the police investigation and questioning my abuser, who was serving as an elder, he was protected and advised by the organisation. They're told that there is a time to keep quiet and a time to speak effectively, saying that in order to protect the religion. He remained an elder, and the congregation were not warned, yet he remained also as a trustee and in good standing. He was subsequently removed several months later, but no information given as to why. I felt compelled, says another viewer, to tell you my experience of this. As a child, I was brought up in this religion by my parents, who had no idea that whilst they were visiting their friends and having Bible classes in their house, I was being sexually abused by their son upstairs. I was 7. He was 10 years older. I didn't tell them about it, and they didn't find out about it until years later when the police phoned me, because another girl had gone to the police to report him doing it to her too. Why would the Jehovah's Witness organisation be liable, are you going to argue, in this civil action?
So, there's two legal principles generally, one of negligence and one of vicarious liability. The emails and texts that you receive from many individuals, you'll see that quite often an allegation or complaint has been raised, and the organisation are aware of it, the elders are aware of it, and they fail to take action. And that perpetrator then goes on to carry out abuse against another individual, and that would give rise to what's called a negligence claim, because the organisation have failed to take the appropriate action. And the second is a principle called vicarious liability, which holds the organisation responsible for the abuse carried out by a perpetrator against an individual because they've abused their position of authority that the organisation have put them in, and it's through that position they've exploited and gained access to children to carry out the abuse.
Thomas, thank you. Thomas Beale, solicitor representing some Jehovah's Witness abuse victims. We also asked for an interview with the Charity Commission because they have been investigating the religious organisation for a number of years. Their chief executive, Helen Stevenson, said this in a statement to us: The testimonies that have been shared with this programme are highly distressing. We understand the public's concern and we welcome the spotlight that is being shone on these serious issues. Our priority is and must be to tackle the concerns that we are examining through our investigation. While that continues, it would be unhelpful and a disservice to those affected for us to discuss or speculate on these issues in public. We understand why people care, and it's crucial that we get to the full truth of these very serious issues before speaking out publicly about our findings. I urge anyone with information that may be relevant to our inquiry to contact the Commission or the police as appropriate. Thank you to you. Thanks for coming on the programme. Thank you to you as well for continuing to get in touch with us on this really serious issue. And I will read some more of your messages, of course, before we get to the end of the programme.